a fellow child-related business franchisor. We have a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do.
So Yolanda, I'm sure the audience is probably thinking, okay, Taxi Mom, I have an idea what this business is, but I really want to hear what inspired you to kick things off.
Well, honestly, it came from the need. I needed the service. I used to work in the corporate world and I traveled a lot. And so when my son was in the seventh grade, he had to cross a major intersection every day. So we bought him his first phone and a bike, and he had to cross over a Beltline. And it's here in Dallas, and it's a very busy intersection. And, it's not that I was worried about him. I was worried about the other people because, kids get hit off of bikes all the time. And I kept thinking, gosh, I know I can't be the only person looking for a service like this. So I did my due diligence and really started to look into it and couldn't really find anybody. So I decided, I came home with the idea and told my kids, and they helped me pick out the name. We had picked up yard signs, those big real estate signs, and we planted them in the 4 different areas that I knew that I could service because I was interested in picking up my kids, obviously, in addition to everyone else's kids. And it just took off like fire because the second year I had my husband quit his job and I had my sister move in from Waco, and we had 3 vehicles running the second year.
Wow. And you started this company in 2004, correct?
Yes, I did.
But you didn't start franchising until 2019.
That's correct.
So you've been at it for quite a while. So the obvious question that people are going to have is there an issue with the schools and school buses? Like, why is your service needed?
Well, when you live within a 2-mile radius, you get no bus transportation. And then when you live in an open district, they don't service everybody. And then, of course, there's a big bus driver shortage right now. Everybody's talking about the bus driver shortage. And then when you go to charter schools and private schools, there is no bus transportation. So transportation is a really big issue for a lot of families. But then we've also had students that have been bullied on the bus. And parents pull them off the bus because they've been bullied so badly. And I can't even imagine these days, with the cyberbullying and what have you. So there's all different types of reasons why parents don't want their kids on a school bus.
Sure. There's so many reasons why I could imagine why people don't even have the access, like you were saying earlier. If you live in a school district or live near a school like I do, you see the long car line anyway. So there's a couple of schools near me where I know strategically when not to leave the house or when not to go out to the store. I'm like, oh gosh, I know on Mondays they get out early and I have no business wanting to be driving on the road because the car line just, it takes over. So those are all your potential customers, are they not?
Yes, they are. In fact, we do get a lot of those calls when they see the van coming by. Just because we get a lot of parents that are under stress because they're on the verge of losing their job from taking that they think it might be a 30-minute wait time to pick up their kids when it may end up taking over an hour, because they use their lunch times to go during that 3 o'clock hour. But the lines are so long that they call us and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do. But then you have the parents that work an hour away or even 30 minutes away that they're not going to have a chance to do it. And you also have your parents that are still working from home that cannot, take that time off to go and handle picking up their kids. So we've got a lot of parents that do call us. We transport over 600 kids company-wide right now. And, it's like a bus route. So when we go in through the daycare line. We make an exception only for our elementary school kids. The schools are very familiar with who we are. And when we go into a new territory, we call the school, we introduce ourselves, we let them know the type of service that we are, and they give us access into the daycare bus line.
So with that said, tell me what makes your service different.
Well, we're a subscription-based service. We're not an on-demand service. We also have a mobile app, and a lot of parents think that they can download the mobile app and automatically get the service. But because we're not on demand, we like to build the relationship. And basically what they have to do is they have to register online. We call them We send them a quote. We let them know who we are, where we come from, to give them that feeling of trusting us. Because I know me, I would never want to put my kid in a car that I don't know that particular driver. And all of our drivers are the same driver over and over for each route. So that driver never changes out. And that makes that parent feel very, very comfortable with knowing that.
You know what? The other thing that really impresses me about you is that you've been at this you were at it for 15 years before you franchised. So you really have your whole concept down pat, which is not, not typical. A lot of franchisors, they have their company running like a year or two and like, all right, I'm ready to franchise my concept. But you've done this for quite a while. So what was it about franchising that made you decide, you know what, this is the way we're going to expand?
From the very beginning, I always knew I wanted to franchise, to be honest with you. I knew that we had to do proof of concept. We get so many calls. We have a wait list of over 1,000 people, and this is nationwide, that are waiting for us to come into their area. They call us from everywhere asking us, do you service this area? And we have to ask them, if we've never heard of the city, well, what state are you in? So we knew that franchising it would be a really good, I don't want to have the liability of owning a ton of vehicles and running them. I just didn't want to do that because, it's ridiculous. Why not share?
Sure.
Absolutely. I'm not looking to go out into a big territory and put myself everywhere and try to monopolize the market, because I really believe that there's a lot of opportunity, and if you just hit 1% of a school registration, most schools have at least 300 to 500 students, you're going to be doing just fine. And we don't even hit 1%. We probably hit 0.1%.
Yeah, you're barely scratching the surface. So tell me about the vehicle and like the capacity of one truck or of one bus.
So what we use 12 and 15 passenger vans.
Okay.
And on the 12 and 15 passenger vans, we can actually transport up to 30 students. We try to keep it down at 25 students per route, so that we don't put so much stress on the driver. And the drivers work part-time. They work from 6:30 to 8:30 in the morning, and then they turn around and get back out on the road at 2:30 to 5 o'clock. And we try not to have anybody out on the road after 5 p.m. because most of them are either moms or dads that both work as drivers. And we try to make sure that they get that family time that they want to get, with their family. And then we also have the ability, like if they want to transport their own children, we try to align them with the school that their kid goes to. And that's an actual benefit for them. We don't charge them, to take their own kids to school as long as they're working for us.
And what about your franchisee then? Is your ideal franchisee running the business?
Yes, it's owner operator.
So your franchisees are typically the driver as well then?
Sometimes they are.
Okay.
It just depends on the circumstances. Owner operator for us is that they have to be in the business. They don't have to necessarily drive because most of them do still have a job and they go out and they hire people. We always recommend that once they get to 4 to 5 routes, that's when they need to go out and hire an area manager or a route manager. But for them to typically get in the car, most of them that are hands-on, they usually do the driving themselves. I don't drive anymore, but I drove all the way up to 2 years ago, and I still do backup for mine.
Okay. And you're in Texas, right? So you have franchisees in Texas and Florida right now, right? You have 13 units.
Yes.
Have you thought about sort of how your vision for this company? Like how big is big? How many locations do you see? Do you plan on growing?
I have definitely want to go nationwide. I know that we can really, if we really are scratching the surface between Texas, Florida, Illinois, and California, we could do at least 1,600 units, territories. I want to get to royalty sufficiency, of course.
Of course.
And I figured that it's going to be about 125. So I have a ways to go. I hear all the stories about how hard it is to get to 75. Right now, we have 7 applications that we're going through that are pending, for here. And then I think we had one in California. I think, like for me, it's really important for me to understand what I'm getting into.
Mm-hmm.
And, franchise support is super important to me because I do recognize that it's very important to make sure that your franchisees are going to be supported. And, like we have a Taxi Mom University every other week. And I was ready to kind of like take back and say, let's do this once a month, guys, just because I know what's on my plate. And everybody was like, no, we love this.
Don't
Oh my
take it
gosh.
away.
Yeah. So I was like, and and I started doing that a little bit over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can't give people the keys and then expect them to automatically know
Right.
and expect them to be successful because it's not easy building a territory. Yes, the demand is there,
Mm-hmm.
but I've been in Richardson for almost 20 years and some people are really surprised and they're like, I didn't even know you existed.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.